All right, welcome back, everyone. Be Alert News, and this is Leon Benjamin, and we have a very special guest on, and no need for a big long introduction, but this individual has done some great things from the Heritage Foundation to best-selling books. He's a best-selling author, economic advisor, former Trump administration, and he is knocking it out the park. Him and Larry Kudlow, the cavalry is coming. I think Stephen Moore is a part of the cavalry, but he's here today to talk about what's going on with our economy and how are we going to get out of this mess, Stephen?
Hi, Leon. So good to be with you. I love what you do. You're such an important part of, winning back America and winning back the prosperity that this country deserves and needs. I have to just start by saying, Leon, I am quite concerned about what's happening with our economy right now. I think everybody is. We're in a ditch right now. And when you're in a ditch, you should stop digging, right? But we keep digging ourselves into a deeper hole. And you're seeing that. Last couple of days we've had some good news on the stock market, but it's way down from when Biden came into office. So people's 401k plans and their lifetime savings have been really reduced significantly by the big inflation story that's really taken over America. And so I'm very concerned. I do think we need a change of leadership, a change of direction. And all that we're doing in Washington right now is spending trillions of dollars that we don't have, which is the match that lit the forest fire of this inflation that is now at 8.5%, 9%. And one other quick point, Leon, when I talk to people around the country, and I say, oh, we have 8 or 9% inflation, people get mad at me. And they say, it's not 8, 9%. People feel the inflation rate, on their food, on their utility bills, on their what they pay at the gas pump, on the, airline tickets or travel costs. Those are up 20, 25%. So people are really feeling a financial hardship.
Yeah, it looks like, we're seeing this midterms and everything that's going on right now. If there is going to be a change and for Americans to get back on the right track, is it going to take a changing of the guard of the Republican Party? And as we've been hearing the conversations, will it be in time? Because so much stuff is happening, but do we need to switch? Does the Republicans need to win the House and the Senate?
Well, I'm not here to say that Republicans are their answer to all our problems.
Right.
Let me be very clear about that. We have two parties, and I'm very dismayed by what's happened to the Democratic Party. It's become really captured by a radical green climate change agenda that doesn't really care about people. And so when you spend $4 trillion you don't have, you're going to destroy a country's currency. You're going to destroy people's lives with the reduction in our currency. And so I think it is important for voters to send a message to the Democrats that we don't like what you're doing, and it's not, in other words, what I'm saying, Leon, it's more important that people vote against what Biden has done than, for the Republicans. Because, in some cases, Republicans have voted for the same stuff like the Democrats have,
Well,
so it's these politicians, they love to play Santa Claus. They love it. They love to spend other people's money, but this is having a disastrous effect on our inflation rate, on our economy. I really worry what's going to happen to a lot of our businesses because they can't find the workers because we're paying people a lot of money not to work. We've got to get back to sound economic principles. And if we do, I think we can correct course. This is America. We will change. We'll correct course. I do think the Republicans almost certainly will win the House. I mean, I'd put the odds at 90%. And the Senate, is up for grabs. But there are also, Leon, let's not forget, a lot of really important governor's races around the country in states like Georgia and Arizona and Michigan and Ohio and even New York could, elect a Republican governor because their governor has done such a poor job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that if people did politics as usual or normal, it might not turn out good. There has to be an awakening.
That's right.
Have you seen any indicators that whether it be the African Americans, Hispanics, or what that they're changing up? Maybe
that's your job, Leon.
Look, I've been seeing some things, and I'm telling you, the Hispanic community is going haywire right now. And with all the changes going on,
Now,
especially at the borders,
yes.
everybody's not for that.
Yeah.
And
So,
it's a
well, you and I
catastrophe.
both worked, to help get Glenn Youngkin elected in Virginia. You live in Virginia, do you not?
Yes, I'm in
Yeah.
Virginia.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm in Virginia. Well, I used to live in Virginia. Now I live in Maryland, but I can throw a stone from my house into Virginia because I'm right over the river. But my point is that Virginia has turned into a pretty blue state. But the reason Glenn Youngkin won was he won more African American votes than normal, Republicans do, and he also won a big percentage of the Hispanic votes because people care about crime and they care about schools and they care about the economy. Those are the three big issues right now, and they're all going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Why did the parents step up? What do you feel when
Because
the
they were
parents?
angry that the schools were shut down, which I think you and I have talked about this before. I think shutting down our schools during COVID was a catastrophic event that's done great damage. I see it in my own kids. They've really been harmed by the fact that they could not go to school for almost a year. And those are the kinds of effects that will last a long time. And then people are upset that the curriculum is crazy in our schools.
Yeah.
It's all this woke stuff. It has nothing to do with teaching kids about, math and about, reading and writing and
Wow.
learning our history of our country. So people want an agenda for the schools, a curriculum that's a pro-America agenda and that's, teaching the kids the necessities they need to know about rather than all this transgender stuff and all these other things that have flown into our school that are not really the purpose of teaching kids and preparing them, for life.
Yeah, I'm seeing people jump on and they're watching, and I'm telling you, if it wasn't for the fact that there are some patriots, some people that are just saying enough is enough, are you also sensing that there's the anger is being focused as opposed to unorganized chaos, more like organized chaos, or what is it? Are there little coalitions forming to say enough is enough? Is it going to take more than just, like you say, a Republican Party, a Democrat Party? Is it going to take like everybody getting involved to say enough is enough? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, one of your most important rights as a citizen is the right to vote, and we want to make sure it's citizens that are voting, not non-citizens are voting. And I get angry at some of my friends who will say, well, I'm going to vote for, let's say as an example, I'm from Illinois and I have a lot of friends and family in Illinois, and they say, oh, well, we're going to vote for J.B. Pritzker to be reelected. I'm saying, well, why? Why would you vote to reelect this guy? Everything he's done has been catastrophic for the state. Would you rehire a football coach that goes 2-14? I mean, if somebody's failing, you have to get rid of him. I mean, J.B. Pritzker, you did the best you could, but you failed. And when people fail, they need to be removed from the job. And frankly, I feel that way about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I think they failed. I am so angry about what's happening with our energy markets. We should be producing far, far more of our oil and gas and coal and bringing down the price of gasoline at the pump. And the home heating costs are going to go up a lot this winter because we're not producing enough oil and gas here. So we have to get it from countries like Russia and Saudi Arabia and China. I mean, this makes no sense.
Well, it's sort of like even in my race, and I'm just one of these things where I know that if people are going to want change, they got to get off their butts. They got to
Exactly.
get off the couch and they got to put their vote in. And we want every vote to count, every legal vote to count, of course. But when a person hasn't done their job, they do need to be replaced. But let's even think about what's going on with other nations that are depending upon our economy to be strong and robust, and that's just not happening. I mean, are we also failing in that respect? That other countries, like the American dollar, is what, around 80 cents? I don't know, but it's still strong. But if it fails, what's going to happen to all the other nations?
Well, the tragedy is that when the United States gets it wrong, and we've gotten it wrong in the last couple of years, then a lot of the other rest of the world, goes over the cliff with us. And, we're the hub of the world economy. We're the beacon of freedom and free enterprise. And when we have a president who goes over to international meetings and talks about raising taxes and about other kinds of things like, the most important thing is climate change. When we've got people really suffering, a lot of people can't pay for their groceries, Leon. Come on. This is something that we're seeing more hunger in America. We're seeing problems with people not being able to pay their rent. Look what's happening to credit card debt. Look at people trying to make their mortgage payments. If you wanted to buy a new house, the average house in a lot of areas is about $500,000 now.
Yeah.
When Trump left office, the mortgage rates were less than 3%. Now they're 7%. So you're going to pay an extra couple $100,000 on the mortgage to buy a house over the 30 years of the mortgage. Those are things that are really impacting people's everyday life.
Yeah, I think that is so important. I want to hit that climate change thing because my opponent, that's all he talks about is climate change. But this energy thing, don't we operate mostly on fossil fuels? And if
70% of our energy comes from fossil fuels, we get about another 10% from nuclear power, and we get a little bit from wind and solar power. And so maybe we could increase that to maybe 10 or 15%, but we're still going to depend on fossil fuels and nuclear power. And why aren't we building more nuclear power plants? Why aren't we using our coal? Why aren't we producing in states like West Virginia more natural gas, or North Dakota? Or we're so blessed by our Creator with a country that is endowed with resources, mineral resources, energy resources, and we're not using them. It's like we've got this buried treasure underneath us, and we're not using those resources, and therefore we have to get the resources from other countries. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't see any logic behind that.
Well, I'm telling you, God obviously wants America to be self-sustaining with all these resources and not having to depend upon other nations for whether it be gas, oil, or even our products. We should be manufacturing a lot of the stuff that I believe other nations, we find out after COVID, are making these products, and all they have to do is flip the switch off, and we will go in the dark in some cases in a lot of the products that are being made overseas. How can we get that back? What is your solution to that?
I'll do what Trump did, make America great again by, cutting taxes, reducing regulations, tougher trade. Look, I'm in favor of getting very tough on China. I think Trump was the first president who recognized that China is a great, potential enemy to the United States. And they've moved more in a communist and militaristic and economically predatory position. And we've got to fight fire with fire here. We've got to be able to not allow China to take over, so much of the world economy, because we're slipping. And so it's all about making America competitive, getting better schools, having a better tax system, having a regulatory system that really is oriented towards making our businesses great, and not just our big businesses. As Leon, the heart and soul, the heartbeat of America is our small businesses, the men and women, and many of them started by minorities, whether they were black-skinned or brown-skinned or Asian-skinned, who are starting great businesses with maybe 20 or 50 or 100 employees. And we've got to do more to help American companies succeed, because if you don't have healthy businesses, you're not going to have jobs.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I'm definitely for the Opportunity Zone program and some of the
I love that. I know you've done so much on that issue. You and I have worked together on that to try to build capital and investment to areas of the country that have been left behind, whether it's in rural areas, whether it's inner cities, to bring those investment dollars to those places. And unfortunately, with Biden allowing the out of control crime and the high property taxes in these areas, you can't start a business. You're seeing a lot of the minority-owned businesses having to shut down in the inner cities because you've got people stealing their products. And if you've seen that, there a lot of cities with Democratic mayors are not even prosecuting people for stealing.
Wow. Look, and I know this is, we're kind of late in the game with hurricane season, but Hurricane Ian did add to more of the problems we already have. I hate to say it, but there's billions of damages have done down there. What is that going to do to our economy if we're already struggling with inflation when we have to take care of our wonderful citizens down in Florida and parts of what, South Carolina, Georgia. What does that mean for us as Americans when we still have to help our own? You know, all this money going over there when now we need billions of dollars to get us back on track down in Florida and some of the other places that got damaged by Hurricane Ian. How does that work?
Yeah, the good news is, Leon, that we are an incredibly resilient people, and Florida will rebuild. I guarantee it. It'll happen. And I bet it happens faster than a lot of people think. And it doesn't require tens and tens of billions of dollars of government money. Look at all the money people have, donated to the Red Cross and, Salvation Army and other, programs that really provide direct aid to the people who need it. And I predict in 6 months, Florida will be back up and running. And those towns that were really devastated, like Tampa and places like Naples and some parts of Orlando, and as you said, some of the areas like Charleston, I think they'll be, we'll get back, but we just have to have the American fighting spirit. And we need to, I love what Trump said about making America great again as a theme for this country. And we need to do that. And it's not racist. It's not, nationalistic. It's patriotic to want to put your own country first and your own people first. And we're not doing that right now, Leon.
Yeah, America first. Let's talk about Kevin McCarthy's commitment to America. Do you agree with that? There's some things that have to be done. Cutting down the spending, getting our energy independence back, being tough on trade again. How about dealing with some of these the 87,000 IRS agents? Do you think that we need a house, a majority Republican House to be able to get those things done? The commitment to America, America first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is a good agenda that the House Republicans are promising. They're promising producing more American energy, something we just talked about. They're talking about cutting some of this excessive government debt that's really become an albatross around our necks. They've been talking about, helping fight crime. I've been looking at the polls. Crime is one of the number one issues, Leon. Yeah. A lot of people in their cities, I'm from Chicago, you can't even go outside at night in Chicago anymore because it's not safe. And that's, by the way, who are the people who are being victimized by these crimes? It's minorities and lower income people whose communities are being destroyed by criminals. And so it doesn't take a lot to get America back on track. That's the good news. But what worries me is that Biden seems to be opposed to all the things that these Republicans are talking about doing, which seem pretty much common sense to me.
Yeah, I think that's it's just amazing that we just have to do the right thing. And definitely once we get in, I believe we'll do it if we stick to it, right? I think now, can you explain to some people about ESG? I've been hearing a lot about this, that those who have these high ESG scores, they are suffering. Okay. And the goal to race towards this climate change agenda is actually taking a lot of nations down. Is America headed that way too?
Well, there's a complete cultish obsession in this White House with climate change. And, if we put in place all of these policies that Biden wants, all these taxes on energy, get rid of all our oil and gas and coal consumption, all of these things, over the next 50 years, that might, even if we were able to do all these things, it would change the temperature of the planet by like 0.001%. So how is that going to save the world? This is craziness. We need to, if we're going to solve the problems of climate, you need to have technology and you need more scientific know-how and you need private sector development. And that will help us combat any climate change that's happening. But these policies aren't going to change the temperature of the planet. They're just a massive tax on America. And incidentally, this, Leon, China's pollution levels are 5 times higher than ours are.
Yeah.
And you think President Xi cares about climate change? I guarantee you he doesn't. He's too busy trying to take over the world. So as I said earlier, we're playing into the hands of our adversaries and our enemies. China is laughing behind our back. Russia's laughing at us. Iran's laughing at us. These countries realize that Biden's policies are actually helping them, not America. And I think people are fed up with that. And I think that we are going to see a change. And I'm not saying voting is your only important responsibility. I mean, what people like you do, Leon, every day is speaking out and becoming activated citizens, going to your school board meetings, run for office. There are thousands and thousands. You don't have to run for Congress. You can run for school board. You can run for city council. You can run for all sorts of positions that have an impact on people's lives. And I hope people will get more active, because what happens is only the liberal Democrats end up running for office, and then they control all the levels of power, because we're too busy, running. We just want to get the government out of our way, but they're not going to get out of our way. ESG is just basically trying to impose all these policies on our businesses, and that's going to have really negative effects on how many jobs our businesses can create.
Yeah, we got some people asking questions in the box, and Lori says, "What are your thoughts about solar farms and climate change?"
There's a big backlash around the country against solar farms because they use up so much land, and they industrialize the landscape of America. I'm not against solar power, but it's not the solution to our energy problems. I mean, we might be able to get 5 or 6 or 7% of our energy from solar. And if you live, I don't know where this woman lives, but if you live maybe in Phoenix, Arizona, that's probably a pretty good place to have solar power, right? Because the sun shines there. I'm in Washington D.C. right now. I'm looking outside. I don't see a lot of sunshine out there. So solar can have it's a niche form of energy, but people are getting angry about all the solar panels that they're putting everywhere. And what about the windmills? I mean, the windmills are everywhere now, and you see these beautiful mountains, and now all you see on the mountains is windmills. I mean, how is that green?
I've seen them. I heard they've been killing a lot of birds too.
Yeah.
But look, we got about 9 minutes left. I want to talk about Govzilla. This is your latest book, The Relentless Growth of Government, how it is enlarging itself to devour our freedoms, to devour our economy. What was the impetus in writing that book?
Well, I wrote that book a year ago before all this stuff really started to happen. But I guess I was kind of predictive of what was going to happen when I said, if we keep allowing the government to grow and grow and grow, we're going to become a socialist nation. And, for example, in 2020, under COVID, the government was larger than our entire private sector, which, you would say in 2020, we were, a socialist country. And we keep seeing all this spending and all this borrowing, all this money printing. And if that continues, we're going to continue to see 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% inflation in this country. And it's going to erode your paycheck. The average family has lost $4,000, Leon, $4,000 in purchasing power because of the Biden inflation. I would say that it doesn't take a lot to change the dials back in the right direction. You got to get the right people back in power. I don't know if that's going to be, obviously the 2024 election is going to be the most important one. And I don't know who the Democrats are going to run. I don't know who the Republicans are going to run. I know Donald Trump is thinking about it, but I'm not here to tell people, who should run for president. But we just need somebody who does put the country's interests first.
Yes.
And we need to create more jobs. We need to get inflation under control. We need the kitchen table issues.
Yeah.
How do you put enough food on the table? How do you pay for your tuition costs? How do you pay your bills? Are you happy with your life? Those are the kinds of things that are so important. And America's not in a good mood right now. They're not. Look at the polling. People are angry about the direction things are going in. And so we got to correct that and make America, as strong as possible. And it's so easy. It's so easy. We've just made so many mistakes. All you have to do is reverse those mistakes and get back to the kind of policies that we know can work.
Yeah, well, I recommend that book. They can go to Amazon.com. They need to read that book. It is a prophecy.
Read it in a couple nights. And also, I want to, if I may, I want to do a quick advertisement for something that's free. It costs nothing. And that is, I put out a hotline. I hope you're getting it, Leon. Every morning we call it our prosperity hotline.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
It's free. I'm not selling you folks anything. It's free. I want you to have it. And it's something you can read in 5 minutes every morning, but it gives you the kind of bullet points about what's
I read it today.
You know what I'm talking about. And I want people to have access to it because, if you're debating some of your liberal friends, it gives you a lot of ammunition. Today we talked in the hotline about, why we're not producing more energy and how we could be producing more energy. California has the most green policies, and they're now paying like something like $6 a gallon for gasoline.
Right.
And so I see that Lori is saying, what's the name of it? So to get the hotline, go to the, you can do one of two things. You can email me personally at smoore@freedomworks.org, that's SMOORE at freedomworks.org, or you can go to the Committee to Unleash Prosperity website and sign up, and it'll take about a week to get you in the system, but we'll be sending that out to you. And again, I mean, I love working with you, Leon, because what you've done for for these areas that need capitalism. There's an old saying, without capital, you can't have capitalism. We need money flowing into these areas, these depressed neighborhoods in America. We need to get rid of the crime. We need to get rid of the graffiti. We need to clean up these areas and make them prosperous places again. And I know we can do it.
Yeah, well, if we don't, we're going to be in some serious trouble. But I did put up your email
Good.
on the crawler so that they can see it. Smore at freedomworks.org, and then I'll put it also in the messaging so that they can make sure they email you as soon as possible and get on that list, because that comes out, like you say, it's free, and it's good information.
Yeah, unlike the Build Back Better bill, it's free.
In these last few minutes, moments that we have, I think it would be befitting if we would just encourage every American right now. I'm running in the 4th Congressional District in Virginia, but we got elections going on all over this nation, that we can give them some hope right now. That we could just hold on to our republic. I know that some are feeling that they just don't know what to do, how to act, how to react, and what kind of words could you give to just give us some hope and some faith that we can take this republic back, we can go in the right direction and fix things?
Well, it's people like you that give me hope. I mean, we don't have that many Black Republicans in Congress. We need more Black Republicans in our state legislatures, in our Congress, in our Senate. I am good friends with Tim Scott of South Carolina, one of my favorite senators, and he's kind of a lonely guy over there as a Black Republican. I think he might be the only one, and so we need to get more minorities to run as Republicans. I'm glad you're doing that. I'm short-term pessimistic. I just don't like the things that are happening to our country right now. But I know we will prevail. You said at the outset, when my buddy Larry Kudlow always says that the cavalry is coming. You're part of that cavalry. And I think this is going to be a monster year. I think people are going to vote for change. They're not happy with the direction that have gone. And look, I think that we just have some people who are very ideological, and they're trying to change America. They keep talking about transforming America, but I like America the way it is. I think they're a pretty great country, and I don't want to see this transformation, because I don't know exactly what they have in mind. Are they going to turn us into France? I don't want to see that.
Yeah, well, I am so glad that you took out time. I know your schedule's busy. I know the other day Fox called you the other day.
Oh, I'm so sorry I missed you.
But you got to understand, patriots like yourself is one of the reasons why we're holding on, and one of the reasons why I'm running for office is because there needs to be people who understand the basic principles of our economy, of our government systems, our education, what's really needed to be done on a national security level. It's just different things. And so I appreciate you. My team appreciates you. The listening audience appreciates you. I'm getting all these clapping hands and people just responding.
Right back to you. And I want to I hope that you're also endorsing and running on the issue of school choice for parents, so they have more options for getting their kids to school.
Yes, I call it the money follows the child. That parents ought to have
love it.
Parental rights along with school choice. Parents should have a say so, of what's going on in the curriculums. These teachings are going on inside the schools. Parents ought to have a say so. They shouldn't be, thrown out the school board meetings and things. I think that's kind of crazy. But we're standing strong, pro-life, pro-family, pro-Second Amendment. we're standing strong on the again, stopping the spending. One last questions. We got like 30 seconds, but
yeah.
the if the inflation stops, what has to happen with the interest rates? I always wanted to ask that question.
Well, look, I mean, we need to get a more production of goods and services. The Fed is going to raise interest rates. You're seeing those rise. That's the price we're paying for this out of control spending. That's why I wrote the book. You know, if you have cancer, you have to have chemotherapy, right? And, you know, we can't let this inflation linger or it's going to bankrupt our country. And so we'll see a rise in rates, but hopefully not for too long. And then we can get back on track with low inflation, high output, better schools, better neighborhoods, safer streets, all those things. We know how to do it. We know how to do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, gang. You heard it right from the horse's mouth, from the author of Govzilla, Stephen Moore, economic advisor and a dear friend of mine. Appreciate his time today. Thank you so much, Steve. And God bless you. Look forward to having you back on our podcast again real soon.
Me too. Thank you. Good luck in November.
All right. God bless you.
Take care.